Do you get offended?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I needed that. I thought that was great. Yeah.
I get offended as well.
Oh, man.
Would you say you're an above average cleaner?
No, gosh, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It drives me nuts. And I know that's probably wrong, but I got to get better at that.
Because like I do a lot of bad habits in the car, but I still think I'm above average.
Oh, yeah.
You then like look for the affirmation of that.
Then it goes back to truth. You know, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. Doesn't matter who's telling you.
Yeah. Tell me like about you.
Yep.
Like what do? You have a family, all of that. Give me some info. So
My name's Jack Lund. I am a new graduate. I'm an optometrist. We just moved here to Fond du Lac last May and bought a house. We got a 1-year-old named Teddy. My wife's name's Alyssa, and we got a 13-year-old beagle named Yelly.
13-year-old?
Yeah, we adopted him at 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that actually about you.
Oh, yeah.
How's that?
It's great. Yeah, they're good.
Is he like slowing down or?
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Still got it a little bit. But yeah.
I guess I should probably ask how's Teddy and Alyssa.
Oh, they're great. Yeah, they're good. Yeah.
Awesome. And so you're an optometrist here in town?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And you love it?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes it's stressful, but I like it.
What's awesome about the eye?
Oh, man.
Like what makes you love the eye?
Yeah. Well, probably I think the thing that interests me the most is that everything's opposite in the eye. So it comes in on one side and the brain flips it. So like if it hits the upper part of your eye, you're actually seeing it below. So that's pretty cool to me. And then also in Darwin's book of evolution, he said one thing that makes me kind of question my theory is the eye about evolution. Yeah. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
So you're like drawn to that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's cool. Very cool. Well, anyways, I wanted to like dive in and talk a little bit about like this last weekend's like message and just kind of the concept of being like an unoffendable person.
Yeah.
I think I get probably the most offended like when someone comes with criticism to me. Do you have anything that comes to mind like where you like are a little bit more like respond or offensive back?
The first thing that just came to mind is like probably with with being married and have a kid and as me, I don't do everything right at all. I'm not very cleanly. So just taking that criticism, and it's like and realizing
you guys are doing more of this.
And realizing like I gotta help out a little bit more around the house because it's like I'm working. I'm like I'm tired, but it's like I gotta get into it.
So one of the things we talked about like on Sunday was like, are you above average or below average?
Yeah.
Would you say you're an above average cleaner?
No, gosh, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or a cook?
Nope. No. Way below average.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you above average? Are you above average?
First thing I thought.
Student of the eye.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I was right there. I mean, I was ranked 47th in my class.
Okay. Nice.
Out of 100. So I mean, right average.
Yeah. So you're there.
Yeah. 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 Above average.
I didn't
mean
to like call you out and like have to have you confess.
Oh, I don't care. No, I don't care. I'm probably my biggest critic.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so probably above average in height.
Okay.
6'5".
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you were at my house and you're like, do you ever hit your head here, Aaron? And I'm like, no, because I'm 5'10".
Yeah, you clear it. Oh, I hit my head a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else that you could think of, like
that I'm above average?
Above average, yeah. Or below average.
Oh gosh, I mean, we could be here all day for that.
True.
Yeah. Below average. I'm not artistic at all.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm terrible at that.
Huh.
We talk about driving. Yeah, I mean, I've been getting better about switching songs and stuff because I gotta stay focused. But like, one big thing is if someone's not going at least 5 over, it drives me nuts. And I know that's probably wrong, but I got to get better at that.
It's like, let's get going.
Come on like, now. But then I think about it, I'm like, come on. You're going to get mad at these people for going the speed limit? You can't do that.
Well, the statistic was like 93% of us think we're above average drivers. And it's hard because, like, I do a lot of bad habits in the car, but I still think I'm above average. And, like, so that's where it's this weird tension, right? And I think that's the case for, like, a lot of, like, stuff in life where it's like, you know I do this, and this, but, like, I also see so-and-so not even close to that or whatever.
Yeah.
And, like, that's, like, where it kind of gets back to. It's, like, you can start comparing yourselves to others. And it becomes more of this comparison game instead of, like, you bettering yourself. Are you actually good?
Well, and then that classic line, comparison is the thief of joy. Yeah. So if you're going to be honest about it, you're either... And our brain doesn't want us to feel down. No. Like that dopamine, I was like, oh, that's great. I never realized that. You want to feel good, and your brain wants to, you're a good
the brain
person.
wants you to be right. So it creates dopamine, at the times you are. Yeah. I was reading, this will come out in this next week here, about, like, being right is like this pleasure that doesn't take any substance. You know, like you can do it with anyone or any place. It's this thing, and it almost like when someone's wrong, the evil in us sometimes wants to like double down in our rightness.
Yeah, I told you so.
You know, you get a double hit, and so it's like this really kind of thing we have to be sensitive of because like it can derail us in a poor way. But okay, so I wanted to read one of the verses because I know you're passionate about scripture.
Yeah.
Like you're always giving me verses. I love it.
Yeah.
But like, what did you think of the verse of the Proverbs 12:1? Like, whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but whoever hates correction is stupid.
Yeah.
Do you think you agree or?
Yeah.
Good, because that would be bad if like you didn't.
Oh yeah, absolutely agree. So the second part I agree. The first part it was kind of a mind bender to link those two together, because I guess you can think of discipline in a couple different ways. It's like, is discipline criticism? Is discipline just doing the right thing? So I think the way they're using it there is discipline as criticism. So it's like getting knowledge. Yeah. As if you're doing something wrong, you have to get knowledge from somewhere else to teach you to do the right thing. Yeah. And you have to be able to take that to be able to change. Yeah. So that's the way I kind of look at it.
No, I agree. Mm-hmm. And like by getting some sort of discipline or some sort of wording or a comment from someone that maybe you're off is, as the verse says, like it's learning or it's knowledge, you know, because like, hey, you're off here. It's information to you. Yeah. Now, information that like sometimes people are wrong when they give you this information. So you have to kind of assess like, oh, is this worthwhile my time or not? But you should want that knowledge. You should want, you know, the opportunity to assess yourself and say, oh, this is right or wrong. Or, as the verse says, like, whoever hates correction is stupid. And but I don't like correction sometimes.
No, I don't either.
Like, it's embarrassing sometimes. It's kind of humiliating. But
yeah, the big fault of mine is like getting correction from someone who I think shouldn't be giving it. You know, that's just like, come on, are you actually telling me? You know, like what's. Then it goes back to truth. You know, what's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. Doesn't matter who's telling you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this one? Do you ever engage in, so we talked a little bit about like selection bias. Yeah. Like where you only seek information of things you already affirm. Like, is there anything that comes to mind with that, or?
So the first thing that comes to mind, and Alyssa, my wife, and I, we are, is, so I grew up, my brother's type 1 diabetic. We had diet soda in the house all the time. And she's like, it causes cancer, you know. I'm like, you can't find a scientific study so it's like I'm finding these science articles that says, oh, it's fine. And then, but like, you know, you probably could find some that says it's bad. So diet soda came to mind right away.
Yeah, that's funny. So what is it actually? Do you?
What is it? Well,
does it or does it not?
They're really. Oh boy, we'll get into it. They've done studies.
My wife would say yes, it does.
You're right.
I'm on like. Really. Like,
So I think the consensus right now is that it at high dosage it causes cancer in mice. Okay. But for us to drink that much diet soda is pretty much impossible. Okay. Yeah. So the jury's still out. I still look at my grandma's 94. She drinks diet stuff. So I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
Let it ride.
Let it ride.
Yeah.
Let it ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
I just want to say for people watching, don't take me as medical knowledge here. Do you think diet soda is wrong? Don't come.
We're not talking about.
Me.
We're not talking about the eye right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so easy to start like looking up information that like you want for you. You know, like to be like loaded for your conversations with others, whether it's political, whether it's religion, whether it's some sort of health thing you're really into. It's like, hey, especially when, like we talked about, if you like put yourself in a camp, you know, like where all of a sudden it's like, hey, I'm on this team or I'm on this side. You then like look for the affirmation of that, whether it's the financial affirmation, like, hey, it was worthwhile investment that you did there, or you know, like all the different things. And I think it's so common of us to do that, but hard to be unbiased about, you know, like, because you want to. I want more information about the thing I'm passionate about or the thing that I'm pursuing, but like, I don't know, it's like you kind of need that level-headed information.
Yeah. And sometimes I think I'm the opposite, is I don't want it. Like, I don't want it. You know, it's like, I could look into the other side, but then like, well, what if it changes my mind?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing where it's like, I like to kind of sit in the middle. Like, this is just me personally.
Me too.
Like, I try to sit in the middle as long as I possibly can. You know, like, because the second I start like leaning towards one way or the other, it instantly like, my mind will start going towards that. Oh, that was right then. Oh, that makes sense. You know, and you start, but you have to kind of like sit in that tension.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Like, the one like that, this is silly, but like the ice bath thing. I find all the information about ice baths because I've been doing ice baths. And so I'll find all the information, like, there's health benefits for it. But then there's like a lot of studies out there that it does absolutely nothing. Like, you know, like, so it's like trying to sit in that camp.
Yeah.
And this is like a minor thing, right? Like whether it helps me with my health or not, or whether it's mental or not, is not that big of a deal. So I know you personally, like, you're a fan of Paul. And I talked a little bit about Paul this past Sunday, of like how Paul is like as good as it gets, right? I mean, like, he's wrote a lot of the Bible. He's evangelized, lived God's ways. You know, like he's was beaten and you know, attacked in so many different ways, but still ran the race for God. And so it's like Paul is like a Christian kind of idol per se, of like, here's what it looks like to walk the walk of Christ. You know, so I know you have a passion for Paul, but what do you think about like the comment when Paul says like about being a miserable person? Like, I'm this miserable person still.
I mean, that's probably why I'm drawn to him most, is I look at this guy who's, you know, top echelon of Christians, and still he, you know, oh, wretched man that I am. Because I kind of feel that I get down on myself, and so kind of seeing him still have those thoughts, and it kind of helps me with my assurance, you know, because you start questioning, gosh, am I really, do I really have this kind of faith when I still mess up? And even he messed up, you know, and so. So looking to that and seeing that one of the best Christians ever, he still struggled. Because we're all human and we need a perfect Savior. I think that's one thing that draws me to Paul as well, where it's like Jesus is perfect, right? So it's like I like looking to his example of how he like acted with, you know, when he was around people. But like Jesus didn't make mistakes, you know, so it's like it's really hard to kind of relate to in that sense. Where Paul is a guy who realizes, you know, I do make mistakes, you know, I'm not perfect, and so it's like to be able to kind of align yourself with him or someone like him is kind of like, it's a good reminder that we're not Jesus, you know, and like even the top, like you said, the top echelon of Christians, Paul, he struggles still too. I mean, and just like, I think Paul said, you know, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church. Like, how the heck? How do you do that?
he wasn't married, so
Right.
But yes, but exactly
Yeah.
it.
So that's got to be hard.
Yeah. So what would you say, like, I mean, we talked a little bit about this earlier,
Yeah.
but like, what would you say some of the things that you struggle with are?
Yeah.
Like, the things you're...
Right. So the first thing that comes to mind is I'm a worrier. I've always been a worrier. And in a way, it's helped me succeed. Helped me get through school and all this because I'm like, I got to get it done.
Yeah.
But it's just more. I got to learn to let go and trust God more. And there's so many verses about fear not and do not worry and do not anxious, and then you start worrying about worrying, and then it's just a vicious spiral. And I thought of Paul too, like when he said, when he had this thorn in his flesh, and a lot of people think that it might have been some sort of physical ailment, but I think the worrying is kind of my thorn in flesh, and he prayed for God to take it away. And then I had that verse, he prayed 3 times for God to take it away, and then, I prayed a lot for me to just be better about worrying, and I'm sure a lot of people have. But God told him, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. So going back to, a wretched man that I am, we're all weak and we need that perfect Savior.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, there's that would be like probably my thorn as well. Anxious thinking, worrying. Like it, even in the last like 3-ish years, like in college, early on in my career, I didn't worry as much, but adding a family into the mix and like a weight of like responsibility, like I just worry. And we talked a little bit about this, but like it's this struggle that I'm in because like my worrying, I notice it does help. Like it does help me sometimes, like it helps me accomplish things. It makes sure that we're safe. And so it's like, but then there's the time where it's like, it is causing me, it's ruining my peace. I'm sitting up night late worrying about something or stressing. And so it's like, I don't think that's God's desire for us. And so there's that balance in between and kind of understanding like giving it to God per se of like, God, I trust you in this. I'm going to live like you want me to, but, and, act in the certain ways, but I know you don't want me to be stressing about this all night long, because it's creating an unhealthy habit in my mind, and so that would be probably my greatest struggle as well. So I don't know if Paul worried. He doesn't seem like a worrier.
No.
I mean, so good I want to be a student of him for a while and see if I could pick up on some things of how to get rid of that worry.
Yeah, well, I mean, he said, pray continuously in all things, give thanks to God, never stop praying and stuff, whatever is right, honorable, true, set your mind on these things. So like, and I think they've done studies, and you've said that when you're in that state of gratitude, your brain
shuts off of the worry. Yeah.
So, I mean, it goes right back to whatever is, good. Set your minds on that stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
A good reminder. Yeah. Good reminder of something I said a while back. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Last question I have for us. There were 3 things that we talked about on Sunday, or like kind of action steps. Like, which one are you focusing on? Like, how are you doing it this week? The 3 things were like, affirm you're not as great as you think, trust that God is as great as you think or better, and then being around others to kind of speak into your life. Is there like one that stuck out to you or like that you're...
Yeah, definitely trust that God is as good, because if you're like me, if I'm worrying, if I'm being anxious, I'm not trusting. And so that's where I got to really get better at, is just trusting that He is good and He's going to do what's best. We know that, we know that God works all things for the good for those who love Him. So you just got to trust in that.
That's good. I think for me personally, it's like just being around others more, and like letting others speak into my life. And you even said it too. There's some people that like probably shouldn't, like, and then like, but there's times where there's like, I need to kind of affirm the fact that I need other people to speak into, like, well, my Christianhood, or my faith to guide me. And one of the things I've said before in my messages, and I need to continue to kind of like live out personally, is I want people to speak into my life, but it's really hard to if I saw you doing something that was maybe inappropriate or like something that you would normally not be doing, it's still really hard to call someone out on it. Like, hey, why are you doing this? Like, and so like I get that. That's really hard. So I've said you should give the person the blessing, like those people in your life that you actually want to speak into your life, of like, I want you to call me out, or like, and saying to them, like, if you see me like diverting or getting off track, call me out, please, because I want to get. I trust you as one of my people per se, you know, and so that's something I need to continue. This message this week reminded me of making sure that I have people in my life that can kind of speak into certain things.
Goes
like
back
that.
to the selection bias too. If you're around people who only tell you what you want to hear, you're right in that same. You're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Not switching over.
And that's the tough thing, because it's like we default to that.
Yeah.
And like, especially if we're unsure, you want to go to that person that is going to raise, praise you up. Yes. To kind of go to the person that's going to probably tell you the raw, honest truth.
Yeah.
It's scary sometimes. But